You might know that pollen and nectar are required to raise a lot of honeybees. After all, you probably know that honey is really made from nectar that honeybees gather from the flowers. But did you know that pollen and nectar sources are also crucial for a lot of beneficial insects on farms and in our gardens and in our yards? I'm Rob from Dowdle Family Farms, and we started raising cover crops years ago to help improve the soil, grass finish our cattle on, and also reduce the feed costs of our pork. We also select certain cover crops for our honeybees as well. But one thing that we noticed is our cover crop mixes, especially those with the right cover crops, helped improve and attract our beneficial insects as well. Honeybees get the most attention in terms of beneficial insects that we're losing in large droves around the world. I've seen estimates as high as we're losing like 50 to 75% of our insects around the globe, many of those being beneficial insects. Let's get started off talking about honeybees first. If you didn't know, honeybee colonies start off coming over winter with low food reserves. They make honey throughout the year to help them survive the winter. But in the winter, in our area, it begins the first part of January, sometimes late December. But in the winter, the honeybees begin building up larger numbers of bees to help prepare for the nectar rush, or what's also called the honey flow in the spring. During that honey flow, they bring in the bulk of the nectar and produce the most of the honey that they survive on throughout the winter. To accomplish this, honeybees normally have two food sources. The first is a carbohydrate food source, and that's usually the honey or the nectar that comes in that they make into honey. And it's usually a carbohydrate source. It has low amounts of protein and higher amounts of sugar. Nectar usually ranges anywhere from 50 to 95% water. 80% water is usually what it's mostly talked about. And then it is dried out until it becomes about 17% water. And at that point, it is considered honey. As the bees begin building their colony size in the winter, they need larger amounts of protein so that they can raise more bees. Bee development begins with a lot of protein, normally about 20 to 25% protein, and honeybees get that from the pollens that they bring in from their surrounding areas. Once a bee hatches, about 21 days after the egg is laid, they consume a lot of bee bread, which also has higher protein content. And then the adult bees typically live on honey and or nectar sources. All of this is done in order to prepare for the honey flow, where the colony size over winter may be 10,000 bees, but they may have 50, 60, even 80,000 bees during the honey flow, so that they have a lot more foragers out and about in the area. Nectar is important for honeybees to help the adults survive, but protein is important also for them to raise brood, and that's where honeybees get their protein and all. There are other bees as well, like mason bees, bumblebees, that harvest protein in the form of pollen, and sometimes they use nectar as well to help raise their young and lay their eggs. And actually, mason bees are 120 times more effective at pollination than are honeybees. There are also other types of bees like bumblebees that gather pollen and or nectar as well. Now let me stop for a moment and say that I'm not the most knowledgeable person about beneficial insects. I do know about two of them that I've looked into more detailed to help me on the farm. But I'm also familiar with a few others, but let's go into these two in more detail. The first you're probably familiar with, they're lady beetles. So lady beetles lay their eggs on plants that have a lot of aphids. After the egg hatches, it goes into its second developmental stage. It's what's often called the larval stage. Lady beetles can devour more than 350 aphids. They continue to grow into more adult lady beetles, and by the fourth stage, or the adult stage of a lady beetle's life, lady beetles can eat hundreds or even thousands of aphids over a period of just a few weeks. So if you have a large volume of lady beetles, they can completely annihilate aphid populations in vegetable gardens. One of the reasons that I was interested in lady beetles is because we would sometimes have problems with aphids on our lettuce, and the lady beetles just could easily annihilate them. Even though lady beetles' primary food source is other insects, but some species will eat pollen and nectar. Either way, though, when you have pollen and nectar sources close by, you will see a world of a lot more lady beetles. The ones that I've been the most interested in are parasitic wasps. They're part of the parasitoid families. And what those are is these wasps, they're not like your normal paper wasp or yellow jackets or anything like that. The parasitic wasps are about the size of gnats, and they will eat nectar as adults. However, they lay their eggs in the larvae of flies. Well, when you have a farm and you have cows and you have pigs, flies can become a pretty dramatic issue. And indeed, it can cost anywhere from $1 to $10 to treat each cow for flies over the course of a summer. And many times those ear tags that we use don't always work very well. Now, there are other management strategies that we're using, but the thing that we found interesting about the parasitic wasps is as we've had cover crops blooming and more nectar and pollen resources available when we've had fly problems in the summer, I have noticed that we've had fewer issues with flies. I'm not saying that it's all because of parasitic wasps by any stretch of the imagination, but we have noticed a corollary. I think it's also because we've been moving our cows more, and that helps get them away from the larvae as well. There are two other beneficial insects that I'll mention as well. Paper wasps are very beneficial. They're the ones where you see, it looks like paper nests. There's normally a lot of them, and you see them hanging from sometimes in bushes. Sometimes you see them hanging from under the eaves of homes and that kind of thing. And I realize people are scared of them a lot. But on the farm, they've done a lot of good in terms of eating caterpillars, like tomato hornworms and many others that are pests for the garden. So paper wasps are very beneficial as well. Another beneficial insect that I found at a farm is a Virginia flower fly. I'll put a picture on screen now, but I happened to see this. Actually, November 1st is when I took this picture of 2021. And the thing about them is they look like yellow jackets. They do help pollinate some as adults. But one benefit that they add to communities is they develop in their larval stages within rotting and decaying wood, and they help eat the decaying wood. So they are beneficial in helping our trees return back to the soil and help decay and clean up our forests as well. I know that's not a whole lot of detail about the beneficial insects, but I encourage you to look up beneficial insects online, not just beneficial bees, and you'll find a wealth of a lot of resources and information about how insects can really help your garden, your yard, and our communities as well. While nectar and pollen are absolutely critical for honeybees, they're also very vital for a host of many other beneficial insects that help keep away the bad bugs, that pollinate crops, that help break down organic matter in our forests, and do a lot of other things that are really, really good. So this video is really just serving as an introduction to a playlist of videos about pollen and nectar sources that are to come. In the next couple days, we'll have a video up about red maple, and then following that, we'll have a video up about elm as well. Before watching this video, have you been aware of any beneficial insects? If so, let me know in the comments which ones you're familiar with or which ones you've had experience with. I would really love to know a lot more about the beneficial insects that you've worked with and that you've seen benefit your yard, your forest, your woods, your garden, your homestead, or your farm. If you're interested in helping out some native pollinators, we've got some mason bee boxes linked in the description. It's an Amazon affiliate link. If you click it and purchase, it will not cost you any more, but it will help our channel out a little bit. But it's a great way of helping some beneficial insects that are trying to help us with pollination sources. So until next time, it's Rob from Dowdle Family Farms, helping you know a little bit more about beneficial insects, pollen and nectar sources for honeybees, other bees, and also for a world of a lot of beneficial insects you may never have known about.